Hello and welcome to session 4 of using VBA in PowerPoint 2013 from the ground up. In this session we are going to learn about variables and constants, right? So let's get started. All that we do in reporting and analytics is actually based on data, and if you look around, data is everywhere. So what is this data? Let's try to define it. Things known or assumed as facts, making the basis of reasoning or calculation, is termed philosophically as data. They also say that facts and statistics collected together for reference or analysis is also data. Data is also defined as the quantities, characters or symbols on which operations are performed by a computer, which may be stored and transmitted in the form of electrical signals and recorded on magnetic, optical or mechanical recording media, right? We are mostly interested in information. Data becomes information when it is processed. Information in raw or unorganized form, such as letters, numbers or symbols that refer to or represent conditions, ideas or objects, is called data. Data is limitless and present everywhere in the universe. So we have a few questions here. How to handle all the data? How to differentiate one kind of data from another? How to play around with this data that we have, and how to process data to obtain information. So all that we can do using VBA and different tools like Excel, Access and PowerPoint as well. So if we have data and we want to distinguish between one form of data with another, we need to know the data type of that particular data point, right? So what is a data type? Data type is a particular kind of data item and it is defined according to the values that it contains, the concerned programming language, like here we are using VBA, and the operations that can be performed on that data, right? Data types vary with their properties. When you say property, I mean the kind of data each variable or constant contains and the memory allocation. So the computer program allocates some memory in bytes to each of the variables or constants that we have, right? So data types vary with each other by the amount of memory that is allocated to them. A few common data types that we see while programming in VBA are integer, string, boolean, date, currency, decimal, single, double, long, object and variant. You don't have to get overwhelmed by the names of the data types here. As we get into coding, we'll know more about these various kind of data types, right? Okay, so let's move. Variables and constants. So this is the topic we are going to discuss in this session. So when we talk about data, we intend to process that data, right, to get some information. During processing of data, we need to change, modify or remember some certain data. A few data points we need to remember and others we need to change or modify. Variables are for data points that we need to change frequently when we process them, and constants are those that are remembered throughout the processing, that we need to recall at different times at various points during the code, right? So how are variables and constants defined? Variables are something that may assume any given value or set of values. VBA, like all other programming languages, lets you store temporary values in variables. A variable essentially has a name and a data type associated with that variable. What are constants? Constants are values that don't change. They can be numbers, strings or other values, but unlike variables, they keep their value throughout your code. VBA recognizes two types of constants. There are built-in constants and there are user-defined constants. We'll see what are built-in constants and what are user-defined constants in the later slides. So let's take a deeper look into variables. A variable is essentially a container with a name that contains one particular kind of item. However, it varies in the quantity or value of that item which is present in that container, right? So when you are talking about container, let's take an example of a bucket. Now a bucket can hold water, like we have water buckets. Similarly, we have paint bucket, we have chicken bucket, or even we have flower bucket. However, all these buckets differ from each other by the content that they contain, right? So if we consider all this as variables, then we have to associate a name and a data type to each of them, right? So if we take an example of the paint bucket is the name of the variable in which we have the data type as paint. Paint is a data type. So when we declare a variable like that, we write dim ih as integer, which says ih is the name of the variable or the variable name, and the data type of ih is integer, right? So this is how we declare a variable while writing code in VBA. So let's take a similar look at the constants. Now we have seen in the definition that constants can be of two different kinds. One are the built-in constants and the other are the user-defined constants. So what are the built-in constants? For each of the Microsoft Office application, you will find some built-in constants that will work with that application itself, and those constants are named with a definite prefix specific to each of these programs. Like for Microsoft Excel, we use Excel. For Word, we have WD. For Access, we have AC, and for PowerPoint, we have PP. And there are two more prefixes at the end. If you can see MSO and VB, those are like global prefix, and whatever constants come with this prefix are used throughout these applications, right? So let's take an example of a built-in constant in PowerPoint. Here is a code where we're trying to color a shape with a scheme color, and the name of the scheme color is PP accent 1. That PP accent 1 is a built-in constant that PowerPoint already has, right? Similarly, if we look into Excel, we have this statement which is trying to keep the Excel maximized. So Excel maximized is a built-in constant which you can find in Microsoft Excel, right? So let's see what are user-defined constants. In this statement, we have mentioned constant ih as integer equal to 28. Here I am defining a constant named ih and assigning a data type to it, which is integer, and again I am assigning a value 28 to this constant. This means whenever I am going to use this constant in my procedure or in my code, it is going to carry the same value 28, right? So similarly, we can also write constant sCountry as string equal to India. This means whenever we are using this constant sCountry, it is going to give me the value India. We can also declare a constant like constant pi equal to 3.14. So throughout our code, the value of pi will be 3.14 and it will not change, right? So in constants, we have seen that they have a name, a data type, and additionally they also have a value. So during declaring a constant, we also assign a value to it, unlike a variable which does not have a value at the time of declaration, right? Okay, so if you want to draw this table and want to infer something from this, it says that at the time of declaration, variables would have a name and a data type but won't have a value. However, when constants are declared, they will have a name, they will have a data type, and they will also carry a value, right? So that's all from us about variables and constants. As we move into next sessions and code more with VBA, we'll learn more about these constants and variables, and we will see how they're used in our procedures. Okay, so hope this session was helpful to you, and you could take away some things from this which will help you in coding in VBA in PowerPoint 2013. If you liked our video, please like, share and subscribe to our channel. Till the next episode, have fun, keep learning. Bye bye.